ways. He understands all parts of it, and things need to be worked out, don't they?
Sure.
We had an error there in the streaming. I had to reload it.
Okay.
On page 8, another part of our discussion was 1831-7, or that specifically wasn't a part of our discussion, but we did talk about Hope Scholarship accounts and the idea that those accounts should be institutions in the state of West Virginia. And then there's language in policy that requires public schools and public charter schools to be in compliance with the Student Data Accessibility and Transparency and Accountability Act, pursuant to 1825H of this code. And what it means is that they have to do public reporting of their data.
Good.
Just like public charters and like the public schools have to do. So that was one of the things that we had discussed that evening, was about that data should be accessible for parents when they're making their choices on where their kids are going to go to school.
Sure.
I'm glad that somebody in there where I read that they wanted to try to, make sure that it was in state, like in Fort Gay area.
Oh.
We're bleeding a bunch of people to, is that a charter school in Louisa, or what is that?
Private school.
Private school?
Yep.
So I don't know, any concerns with any of that language? I don't think that's going anywhere, but that is what some of the discussion that we did have that evening. And then on page 14, this actually came from the Association of School Administrators. This is what they proposed to some of the legislators regarding the compulsory school attendance laws. And what it deals with is, the changes start on page 16, and it talks about homeschooling, and that.
So has this not been introduced yet?
I don't think so. I think that they're looking for somebody to introduce
Sponsor
it.
it?
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
And so I'll be honest, there's a few things in here that I don't think need to be in there. But there is some things that we did discuss that evening. And so anyway, it talks about having a telephone number so that there's contact information for those students. And then it talks about on page 17, having testing at each grade level. Now, I'd rather keep it simple and go grades 3 through 8, general summative assessment, and 11, the SAT. But this talks about using those bench, and it's actually the data that Nikki presented to us earlier, that the students should be participating in those benchmark assessments at those particular grade levels. And then also participating in the GSA at the other grade levels. I do think it's important that there's annual testing that takes
Right.
place. Page 18. Just talks about, and this already exists, if those results are not turned in, then the county boards of education are actually able to petition the courts to ask for the kids to be re-enrolled. Page 19. It does mention here for home instruction may consider appropriate subject to normal registration and attendance requirements. So it talks about students being able to enroll and to attend any class offered by the county board, inclusive of tuition calculated per credit or course. That would be one that I would disagree with. I understand if the student is on the Hope Scholarship, but if they're not on the Hope Scholarship, we've never charged tuition for participation in courses and pay taxes, live in the district.
Right.
If they want to access a course, they should be able to access a course. So and then the only other changes in 23. And then again, it just goes over those testing requirements. So again, this has already been proposed, I think, to legislatures all across the state. So I'm not proposing we do anything with that, but I just wanted to show you that some of the things that we did discuss that evening are being proposed elsewhere. So I think that the key will be on the community schools legislation, what we talked about up front, getting that over. And so I'll work on the final draft on that within the next 48 hours, and then we'll get it over to Senator Fuller.
I was gonna say, you don't even really have to have anything just your idea of what you want to see in it. And then there's a whole bill writing process up there that the lawyers will do it from there, and then they'll give it back to him, and then he can see if that's what you want or not. So
Okay.
don't stress yourself over it. Just give him the general idea.
Very good. Very good. And then Dennis mentioned there while we were on break, or when we had the technical difficulties there, Dennis mentioned about the legislation regarding shrinking
11 districts.
down to 11 school districts in the state of West Virginia. So I'm not sure that there's been any progress there with that particular bill. There's a lot of things to think about with that. You've got your excess levies that each county approves. What happens with those funds? How are those funds handled? You have
Scary.
you have different.
It would open a big can of worms, I tell you.
You have different pay schedules in a number of districts.
Yeah.
As I understand what's proposed, there would be 5 counties in each of those 11 districts, and each county would have 2 members.
2 representatives.
As big as Kanawha is, you're going to group 4 little counties with Kanawha, but tell Kanawha, you only get 2 out of 10 votes?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
Strange things happen though. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You know.
I know.
That's all I had.
All right. Potential items for future agendas?
Just the things that we've talked about this evening. We'll come back with contracts and proposals for the building assignments.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by John Egan,
Second.
second by Randy.
Beat me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0 at 7:35. Thank you.
A long day.
I sure will.
Oh, I sent her that with love.
She's waiting there to hit the button.
What do we have, Todd?
We were up to 10 at one point.
Oh, my God.
Wow.